Hi, welcome to Soccer Nuggets. My name's Steve Franklin.
And I'm George Perry.
George and I don't get together that often. We thought we would create a podcast where we could share some stories, talk about the game, talk about our knowledge and the like, and pass it on to you.
And we'd also like to hear from you. If you have any suggestions, any recommendations, any topics you'd like to see us tackle, please email to george@soccerindiana.org.
Hey, welcome back to Soccer Nuggets. We've been getting a lot of comments from people that we know via text, via email, and whatnot about how to find the podcast and whatnot. We just wanted to let people know you can go to Spotify, you can go to YouTube, you can go to the Indiana Soccer webpage. Any of these sites have links, and what we do want to do is make sure those of you that are driving aren't necessarily watching, but you're listening to the podcast. So hopefully we're able to paint some pictures for you there while you're driving as well. Today, George, let's talk a little bit about controlling the ball versus the ball controlling us. So when you're under 10, the dynamic's always to try to get the kids to figure out maybe that they can go left and right, that they've got some width to their game, they can back up, and they start to become what I like to say, they become a little more spatially aware. They can abstractly think, if you may. I know I'm using pretty high terms here.
For me especially.
I know. So how can we go about the old school when you and I played is we trap the ball. We've kind of gotten away from the idea of killing animals and whatnot with the soccer ball. Now it's more about maybe controlling, or what else would you call it?
Well, preparing the ball for your next step.
Okay.
For your next play.
Ideas. You're working with maybe 10-year-olds that are starting to get a grasp now on maybe how to think ahead a little bit of where they want to go. Can they go forward, or maybe do they have to go back to go forward, keeping possession of the ball? What might be some ideas that we can give the coaches that are out there in 10 and unders, since that's kind of a prepubescent time and they still have all that energy and everything, but they start going before they really have possession of the ball.
Sure. Well, to me, it comes down to the mechanics, things that should almost happen every single time in your execution. And to me, the number one thing before you're even going to touch the ball, as far as the ball coming to you, is you got to look to see, what am I going to do with it? All right. And I know U.S. Soccer is big on using the word scanning, which is great. So you've got players that are going to be looking around and seeing, where is an opponent? Where could I pass the ball to? Where's the ball coming from? But I got to make all these decisions, and it's a lot of decisions to make in a short amount of time that they're going to have in the game. And so we want to make sure that part of it is that every time a ball is coming to them, I want to see that player taking a look.
Yeah, I try to teach coaches to say chins up.
Chins up.
Chins up. Chins up. What's going on?
So you find that word that clicks with your players, and all of us might have different words, and that's great. There's nothing wrong with it, as long as we're consistent and the players understand what we're looking for. So we're looking around, trying to figure out where that ball, where we want to take it. I might even play the ball first time because I'm under great pressure. But today we're going to be talking more about how we're going to control it, how we're going to set ourselves up for the next action that we're going to do. So
kind of a prep touch.
Like a prep touch. Whether we're going to dribble the ball, whether we're going to pass the ball, whether we're going to shoot the ball, it's still the same thing. That prep touch is still the same.
I saw back in the days when we used to look at DVDs for coaching instruction and whatnot, we go to the convention and buy all the latest DVDs. And I remember one that Anson Dorrance, the longtime coach at University of North Carolina, he would always do passing activities. But if you were playing me the ball, the first thing I did was I took a quick peek. Where is my teammates, or where are my teammates, and where is the pressure going to be coming from? As soon as you struck the ball, I didn't need to basically stare at the ball and watch it come into my body. It was a great time to sneak another peek, because after you would make contact with the ball, things may change behind me, and always to sneak a peek behind me, because the ball's not all of a sudden going to change direction or maybe bend or anything like that. And then I came to Indiana and I came to reality, and I know a lot of the fields that people may play on, might not be field turf. They might not be these beautiful manicured fields at Grand Park. You may have some lunar surfaces that are out there that kids are playing on. So from a body position, what advice would you say what are things that you need to consider when you are the one that's going to be receiving the ball?
Well, first thing is once I've decided the ball is coming to me, I've got to get in the path of the ball, get myself in that line, whatever it's going to be, so that way I can have as much as my body behind it. Now, as you get to higher levels, sometimes that might be, you're going to be more deceptive than that, and you're going to take your body away from that line because you're going to play with your feet, but that's at a higher level. We're talking about just right now, get in line with the path of the ball, identify a surface. Is this ball going to be on the ground? Is this ball going to be in the air? How can we take it down? We talked about having more control in passing using the inside of our foot in one of our podcasts. Well, it's the same thing. You're going to have more surface area to control the ball with the inside of your foot, quite possibly.
So if this is the ball and
then here
you're receiving it now, so you're going to have your foot slightly off the ground a little bit,
Yep.
toe box up,
Yep.
in order to make sure that the ball doesn't roll over the top of your feet. Let's change real quick here. So you want this so that my toe's not down.
Right.
My toe's up a little bit so that we avoid that rolling off, especially if my foot's too far.
Right.
So heel down, toes up a little bit off the ground so that we don't get the ball popping up on us as well.
And if my first touch is going to try to keep the ball on the ground, I might actually get my knee slightly over the ball. So there's an angle from my foot to my knee that's going to be over the ball. That even if this ball bounces up and hits me in the shin, it's still going to push the ball down to the ground.
Gotcha.
And now I can help to take it easy. So it's kind of like
So it's almost like a wedge.
it's almost like a wedge, and it's like that shortstop that tries to have as much of their body behind the ball
Sure.
when they're fielding. And that's going back quite a few years since I've played the game of baseball.
You hate baseball.
I'm not a big fan of it, but it's all right.
All right. I like to tell kids, especially young kids, 10 and unders, get your belly button in front of the ball. And for some reason, little kids think that's the funniest thing in the world, but they remember it. Okay, I got to get my belly button. That helps them get the ball at least centered where they're going to go. When we talk about the weight of the pass, what does the weight of the pass mean?
That's how fast it's coming in. Is it coming in soft? Is it coming in hot?
So if it's coming in soft, what can I do with my first touch?
Yeah, you can push it. You can push it to where you want it to
Slight little
go.
push.
So you're gonna push it to the left or to the right, depending on where you're going with that, and it's important like that.
Okay, so let's say Steve Franklin hits it, and
Well,
you
it's
know
gonna
it's
be a hot
coming.
pass.
It's a
It's
hot
gonna be
ball.
a hot pass because you're trying to take my foot off as much as you can. But as you're doing that, you got to give with the ball a little bit. If you put a solid surface, this ball is going to bounce away. So we got to kind of give with it. I call it a receiving hop. You always want to have a receiving hop when you're receiving a ball. So it's almost like you
Is that a hop into the ball?
it's a hop up,
Okay.
you know, but it also could be a little bit of a way depending on where you're going to take the ball, because you might be taking it with the inside of your foot, but you're going to take it off that way a little bit. So you're going to direct it. So you're going to give with that foot a little bit, but the little hop, because if you have a lot of your weight off of your feet, you're going to be more supple and you're going to be able to give with that ball a little bit more.
Big word, supple.
When if your foot's solid on the ground, the ball's going to bounce off like a brick wall.
Did you ever go to a picnic and you had egg tosses or water balloon tosses or anything along that line?
Absolutely.
I always taught people that the further that you got apart, the more you had to kind of give with it because it's going to be coming in. Even if you didn't intend it to come in hot, the distance it's going to be coming, gravity is going to come into play a little bit. So maybe even taking a step, that little hop is going to get you in that subtle position, if you may, to be able to control the ball.
Yeah. So it's almost like the foot as the ball's coming into it, we're going to kind of go backwards with it just a little bit in terms of and again, the angle of the shoe is important. If my foot is kind of flat towards the ground, as you said, it could roll over the toe box very easily.
Do we always have to receive with the inside of the foot, though?
Oh, absolutely not. You can receive it. That's where it starts to become more deceptive, maybe where I lean to one side and I receive it with the outside of my foot. But again, I want to get over it. My toe's going to go down since I'm using the outside of my foot, but I still want to try to make contact just above center of the ball.
Okay.
So, and then my leg
So
and my knee are over the ball
using
as
that
well.
pinky toe, the Adidas stripes again. and maybe a little feint this way to get the player that I'm going to play the ball here. I'm going to position that defender over here, then take that touch so that I open up that passing lane as well.
And that's where coaching to the players' needs are very important for coaches. You might have, a group of 10 players, and 8 of them need to do it pretty simple, pretty basic. But you got 2 kids who are good players, and they need a little bit more. That's where you're going to really throw in, give them that idea of, can you throw your shoulders this way and then take it with the outside of your foot and take it the other way? And you give them a little extra special sauce so it keeps them engaged and keeps them excited about what they're doing.
You're talking about that bounding ball a little bit too. We've got a lot of people out right now that are playing futsal around. And futsal, for those of you who don't know, think of indoor soccer on a basketball court or a paved surface area. But they talk a lot about receiving with the sole of the foot, almost kind of if you're putting your foot on your brake of your car, if you may. The problem with that in the outdoor game is that ball bounces a little bit, and we don't always lift our foot up, and that's a very small surface area by which to be able to get it under control. What advice would you give for that player that, oh man, I'm going to play with the wedge of my foot? Is there advice? Because what they don't realize is now the ball's stuck under their body, and we are now multiplying the number of touches we're going to have to take in order to be able to play that next ball.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, you want to encourage them to take the ball into a space, whether it's past a defender, just into a space for yourself to take on with the dribble or whatever it is, that you want to move it. So the faster you can move it, the better you could take advantage of your opponents. And so if you have to stop it completely dead and then start up from scratch, it's just going to delay your about. So, hey, we want you to go get the goal. We want you to get to that space quickly. Can you move the ball into that space with your first touch?
Is there a time and place to play one touch? My coaches always, when I played, they were like, hey, Franklin, think one touch. And my one touch was going on goal. So it was a shot anyway. I didn't. You gave me the ball. You weren't seeing it again. I was a black hole. And everybody knew that. But if I was going to learn how to play a ball or maybe pass a ball to my teammate, what's the advantage of doing everything that you're saying about getting our body prepped right, being able to have our head up, getting an eye open for options, and then maybe just going with that one-time pass? What does that do for our team?
Well, if by any chance in a game I would ever be slightly ahead of you on the field in the game, no comments.
So here we are in the fantasy world on Soccer Nuggets
no
today.
comments allowed. But the ball comes in hot to me, but I want to lay it off to you with one touch because of the pressure that we have. I still may give a little bit with that ball to take the speed off of the ball coming into me so it just settles really nice for you in terms of what we're doing. There's sometimes I'm going to push the ball first time through a space for a teammate to run onto and make some things. Or I'm going to redirect it first time on goal into those side pockets of the goal. And I'm going to do that. And again, that's where the mechanics are just so important. And they're the passing and receiving. They're very similar. The mechanics are very similar. It really just depends on what the outcome is that you want to do with the ball.
It was 2017, 2018, U.S. Soccer came out with they called the PDIs, the Player Development Initiatives. And one of those was it took away the ability for a player to play the ball with their head if they were under 12. And we've modified that a little bit in our ISL to anyone that's playing modified play format, we don't head the ball. That doesn't mean that we can't teach it, and I really believe you and I both believe we should be teaching it in the game. But one of the byproducts has been is refereeing a lot of those 77 and 99 games. Kids actually know how to take the ball out of the air now. So what might you say to a ball that's above the knee? If we're going to use our thigh, we're going to use our chest. What goes into play when you're using that part of your body to receive a ball?
Well, again, to receive a ball with your thigh, you want to make sure that really the foot of that thigh is not on the ground, because you can only give so much if your foot is actually making contact on the ground. I may want to kill that ball pretty close to me, so I'm going to really almost, as if this is my thigh, I'm going to really pull it backwards as the ball's coming in, so it kind of dies a little bit more in front of me.
How about lift your heel up too?
I can lift that heel up and make it go from there. I could possibly redirect it and push it to one space or another. But again, there's still that receiving hop. The foot that is on the ground, I think you should just try to get your weight up a little bit off of that foot, just so that your body's a little bit more relaxed and you make that piece happen.
Because the idea is to get it to drop down in front of you so that you're ready to go with your next touch.
Right. And there's always a time that, I see somebody charging at me, and I'm actually going to pass the ball to myself with my thigh, and I'm going to pop it past you and then go into the space behind you. But that's a pretty high-level skill. But
again, it's something we gotta work on, and we gotta do reps of, because I've seen a lot of kids in that situation. They panic and they lift the knee. Now instead of receiving on the thigh and bringing it down, that thing's bouncing off that kneecap, and who knows where it's going.
But then again, it still comes back to identifying the surface that you're going to use, getting in line with the path of the ball before that, having that scanning so you know where you're going to take that first touch and get it going from there. And I certainly agree. What I've even, not only that fact that kids are taking the ball out of the air more with the age group by the no heading policy that we have, they're willing to do it in a crowd. And I think that is great, because that's a time for experiment. That's a time for development. And no one should ever be critical of a kid trying to take the ball down in a crowd when they're playing.
Well, the thing that I used to notice is, even before they had the player development initiatives, if a kid wanted to hit a ball, they would go after it. If they didn't, they would always back up and let it bounce, and then they go after it. But now I'm seeing kids out of a flighted ball taking it right out of the air. One of the greatest players I saw that could use their chest, and they did it in the air, was Pele. He was always in the air. And tell me about his arms.
Arms are out to the side for balance and safety, a little bit for space for themselves.
What do you mean by space?
Well, it's just that this is my area, so I'm protecting me from you.
Okay.
So that way you can't go and knock me off.
This can give.
But this is taking care of the ball.
And whereabouts do they want to make contact? I've heard of them say something like concave, and if I'm working with a young kid, they don't know what concave means.
It really depends. I just let the players experiment, to be honest with you. I take it in right inside my shoulder. Okay, I've seen some players. Yeah, I've seen some players take it right in the middle of their chest, and it really comes down to comfort. And there's no reason why boys and girls can't take it on their chest at all ages. I've never seen a women's national. I've never seen a women's national player, avoid taking the ball down from the air. And all players can do that.
Yeah, I would always take it in the middle, but the thing is a lot of kids, when we say take it in the middle, they bring their elbows back, and now it's hitting kind of the breastplate here. And again, it's almost like that kneecap again, it's bounding away. And I would tell people almost arms out, but bring the shoulders in just a little bit, because now I can also direct where I want to go with the ball as well. So that if I do see a player coming here, I can self-direct and maybe get that ball to where now I'm body, ball again, and protecting that ball.
Yeah, and I just did the same thing, except I just used it right inside, a little bit inside my shoulders. And as long as I'm inside the shoulders on the chest, it's not a handball, right? It's perfectly safe that we're going from there. So, yeah, the whole idea is to get the young players to be comfortable on the ball, no matter what ball comes in. So how many times do we get them in a training session getting enough repetitions of doing it over and over again? Can you give the parents activities that they can maybe do at home, even if the parents are just tossing the ball to the players? They can't use the feet, but I just toss it to you so we can take it out of the air and make some things happen. Soccer tennis was always a great little game.
Tennis, John Trask.
Taking the balls out of the air, especially if you give a player 2 or 3 touches, you can control it and then volley it back over on your chest, your thigh, whatever it is. But it's a great little fun game, and that can be done on grass. It can be done on the driveway. It can be played anywhere.
If people haven't had the ability to go into a professional locker room, they're getting a roll of tape and they're just putting a piece of tape between 2 chairs, and they're in there just playing a little soccer tennis back and forth. You can do it with 2 corner flags with a little piece of tape. You can do it with a bench. You can do it. It doesn't have to be on a physical, actual tennis court itself. One thing about those of you putting training sessions together, when you put your areas out here, think a little bit about how big the area is. The key is if it gets too tight, because you're really looking at a lot of transition with the ball going from player to player, hopefully your team, but it might be going between 2 teams. If it's getting chaotic and it's transitioning each time, we probably need to open that space up. If we're seeing more than 2 and 3 touches, maybe we need to bring that in. But don't always make it a square. Maybe sometimes come out here and make it, or maybe use the center circle, or I mean, just get a little crazy, because the game isn't always vertical and horizontal. We want them kind of in a position to receive a ball anywhere on the field. So
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, really the idea of players understanding the importance of scanning so they can make their own decisions as opposed to people from the side yelling at them what to do, getting their body in line with the path of the ball, identifying a surface that they're going to use, and then going into that space with the ball that they want to work with each time.
So if those were the nuggets we're leaving them with, I would throw in balance.
Yep.
Make sure you're balanced and make sure you're relaxed so that you have an idea. And again, that chin up and just scanning, just so you know what you're going to do with the ball before you get it. So hopefully that gives you some nuggets, some ideas on not only what to look for when you're working on that ability to maybe possess the ball and to have your team control it, but also ways in which you might be able to teach it. So hopefully that helps. And again, if you got ideas that you'd like us to chat about that for some reason we, two old goats that we are, we haven't thought of those yet, how can we help them out?
Just send me an email. Send it to george@soccerindiana.org.
All right. Hope everybody's having a good time with their soccer season. We look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Have a great day.